Parent Entrepreneur Power, conversation number 227.
Parent Entrepreneur Power.
Wait, what? Entrepreneur Power!
This is the podcast for parents juggling the tough choices required for success in business while putting family first. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine Johnson, and I share the ups and downs and dirty truths of profits and potty training while chatting with successful parent entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Are you powered up? Hey there, Power Parents. Mary Catherine Johnson here. Welcome to Parent Entrepreneur Power. Today, I get to chat with a gentleman that I actually had the pleasure of listening to him speak at, I believe it was Affiliate Summit West in Las Vegas in the beginning of 2018, beginning of January. And I just loved everything he talked about, and I really needed to invite him on the show to speak with us. So without further ado, stopping my monologue here, I'm just going to introduce you to Robert Glazer. He is the founder and CEO of Acceleration Partners. Hey there, Robert. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to chat with you because I really did enjoy your presentation and what you were talking about, and definitely performance-based, agency or marketing or business. So let's just kind of, I know I'm kind of letting a little bit of cat out of the bag here, but let's start with your once upon a time story. And before we get to actually Acceleration Partners, how did you become a parent and an entrepreneur at the same time? And one of us crazy people who do that.
Yeah, and it just all gets tangled together. I left my last full-time job right when my first son was born, second child, first son, and really dove in and started two different businesses at once. One was the business that sort of became Acceleration Partners, and the other was a website that focused on product reviews and a lot of kid and baby stuff. As we were in that mindset, I got one contract for consulting. I decided I was miserable and I had to move on. And, I think a lot of businesses, there is no good time.
Right.
So it's just starting a business. Well, it's not a good time. It's never a good time to have a kid either. And, go down in income and deal with all that stuff. So I just decided that I was, at that point, I felt better being in control of my own destiny, and quit my job and caught one consulting deal and jumped in with 2 feet. And, I've heard a lot of entrepreneur parents say that the pressure, in some ways that helped them succeed by having that pressure and just needing to succeed. A sales guy once told me that he loves when people on his sales team, come in and say their wife's pregnant or they're pregnant. He thinks they'll have their best couple quarters.
It's true.
Of the year, because they got bills to pay.
Yeah, we call it the baby effect, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I for me, it was all at the same time. It is all a blur, and I did not get much sleep during those times.
And so then that led to, so you started 2 businesses, and one of them has now risen to the surface and been able to grow and
Yep.
Morph into Acceleration Partners. And then how many kids now?
3 kids. So we had one more, and they're so that was my oldest is 14, my middle is 12, and my youngest is 9.
So you're right in the middle of the whole puberty thing and middle school, and oh my
Oh,
goodness,
it's
I'm
good,
sorry.
good times. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, I will never forget that. Not only when I lived it the first time, but now when the kids went through it the first time, it was, oh yeah, no different.
I will say though, well, a lot of things I could say. I think it's a process that people need to go through. I think middle school is really hard. These nice kids turn into these mean, cliquey kids. But each of my 2 that are in that process have gone through in their own way, have sort of, they've dealt with some of that. They found themselves. They found their place. We had thoughts about even putting them in private school and trying to avoid that. But I think it's better to learn some of these lessons early. I think you have the lessons of the helicopter parent and or snowplow, as one principal said to me. is that a lot of these kids and had all the obstacles removed, and now companies are hiring them and they're having some struggles, and their response is disproportionate.
Yes, I agree 100%. We had the exact same thoughts. And I have friends who did that, who actually did take them out of school based on their own personal experiences in middle school. And then right at sixth grade, took them out, put them into a private school. And then they had to go back into high school anyway, into the general mainstream. And there were, lots of difficulties, lots of issues that were going on. And, whatever is best for you, do it. But I agree with you. We were just like, you're going to have to deal with these lessons one time or another. You're going to deal with these people.
Right. These are the people you're going to, like, how do we address this? How do we deal with it? How do we move on? And, my kids are both, and I think it ties to sort of a little bit of how we try to run our family, but they're very values driven, and I think they've made values based decisions, and so and not easy ones. And
yes,
that's very I think that is exactly what I want to see. So they're not easy decisions, but look, nothing's easy. So it's been a process. I don't think no one likes it anywhere, but they'll come out the other side.
Yeah, they will. We all do, right? We all do. And none of us really actually died because someone was rude to us in middle school. So, we'll deal with it. And now that mine are on the other side and they're actually becoming adults, and I'm in my exit strategy of parenting, which is same as it is in business. You've got to basically prepare this thing to run without you. And now that they're on the other side, one of the things that comes up that we used in middle school was this saying that I printed up and had in their room: friends are like shoes. You got to try on a lot before you find one that fits. And
you often need to see a difficult circumstance to really understand what kind of shoe you're dealing with.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So it all comes out in the wash, but that's a perfect segue into the same thing with your business. I mean, it really is no different with your business. You have to, and especially I love what you said by being values driven. Tell me a little bit about, I mean, obviously we know a lot of values for families, whether it's belief values, or we use the words strength and honor a lot in our household. And so whether it's strength and honor, or whether it's a certain religion or belief structure, tell me how that translates to, or if it does for you, in business, and if you run your business the same way.
We do. And actually, a lot of the systems the alignment systems that we use in our business, which is setting the goals, doing planning, doing check-in, I think a lot of that is even transferred to family. We've tried to do the family meeting thing. We're not as good about that. But the one thing we do is we all sit down on the first of every year and cut out magazines and make kind of a vision board for the year. And really, I've tried to work with the kids on setting goals, and we all have goals, and we put them up there, and everyone kind of holds each other accountable to doing that. It's a very similar process that we do in the business. We do kind of vision plan and then tactical goals and quarterly and all that stuff. So it's, they mimic a lot of best practices, really mimic each other. And I think we use it both ways. We have kind of core values in our family, and we have core values in our business, and we expect that to drive behavior. And I probably lose my patience or temper more than I would like to, but I like to try to tell the kids that the stuff that I will really get upset about is when they have done something that crosses one of the values. That's sort of the no-fly zone.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And that's where the whole pick your battles comes up, and, all those kinds of things, because it's really, if you freak out at everything, then they're not going to really know what's really important, because we all have things that we have to deal with. But, I remember one time one of my sons had really young, we're talking first, second grade, and there were this set of pens that he was just admiring that his friend had, and he pocketed them. And when his friend wasn't looking on his desk and all that stuff. And luckily he came home and he was like, and he was just feeling guilt. And so we walked through that, gosh, we need to go give those back and say sorry. And, look at how you can maybe earn your way to getting those yourself. So those are always there. And if I would have freaked out over the, one time that he rode his bike when I told him to clean his room instead, right? He wouldn't really know that difference.
Yeah, if you yell at everything, it won't separate, and we're dealing with the same thing in our company right now as we grow. People feel less in touch with everything that's going on. And I've said, if I communicate everything to you, you won't be able to separate signal from noise or know what's important.
Yeah.
I recently wrote one of my Friday forwards on a story I read in Adam Grant's book Originals, where he looked at why these particular groups of people in Europe, I think it was in Poland or Austria, why non-Jews helped Jews and hide them during the Holocaust. Like, what made certain people do it and certain people not? And these sociologists or psychologists sort of studied this group, and what do these people have in common? And it almost all came down to some sort of family value, or one way or the other, in which that was just a very logical decision for them based on how they had been parented and how they grew up and the values in their household.
Yeah. I can't even can't say anything more.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about when you're talking about your business, because I find this very interesting that typically people's businesses and their the struggles that they're going through, or the particular phase in business, is usually mirrored in their family. So how many years has Acceleration Partners been around?
So it's the same. Well, I guess it's about a year older than my son.
Right.
So it's 11.
Yeah. So do you think that, tell me how that phase, so one of the reasons we call ourselves in this podcast Power Parents is because once we go through potty training, it's like business is nothing, right? We can handle that. Once we try and get a kid to do something, and we do it successfully without beating them and all those terrible things, we can navigate business. So where would you say in that phase, from newborn or startup to exit strategy and everything in between, where would you say Acceleration Partners is now at 11 years?
Well, it's funny to say. I think we're a responsible young adult at this point.
Yeah.
And I saw a speaker speak years ago, and one of the things we talked about, these phases of business. So there's fun when you're just starting and selling, and then there's struggle, and then fun, and then you exit fun to this area called whitewater, where now just selling and doing doesn't work. And whitewater is where the wheels are coming off, you need processes, and then from there you get to predictable success. And he equated it is basically the middle school awkward teenage years of your business, where you're growing too fast but you don't have all the stuff. It is like puberty for business. And we went through that for 2 to 3 years, and it went from not fun to really not. It went from fun to not fun, but then to all of a sudden we fix these things and put in systems, and everything is much more predictable and smoother. It is not chaos and up and down. So I think we're in young adulthood now, and it's there's a little chaos, but we've exited a lot of the drama.
It's manageable chaos. Yeah.
It's manageable chaos for sure.
Wow. So tell me a little bit more about that road. And so at 11 years, and especially with a business you've been doing for that long and growing, and you've had people come in and exit, and different probably C-level or management level people, and making sure that you translate or you communicate those values and all that stuff, especially with performance-based, so that's really, so tell the audience, tell the Power Parents what we mean by performance-based. Give us a little education on what that is.
Yeah, it's fairly simple, but we work with large brands and engage in relationships that pay either for an action or revenue or an outcome, and it's all tracked digitally so it can be scalable. So instead of paying someone to run a billboard or run an ad and then hoping that it works, you're really tying it to the actual success of that campaign, and you can use a platform and roll in thousands of partners, but you're paying almost your marketing after you get what you want. So if you just to dumb this down, and everyone wants a specific example, let's say you wanted great people on your podcast, and instead of hiring a marketing person, you've signed up me and a couple people, and you gave us links, and you said, look, have great people fill out an application, and for everyone I accept that comes from your link, I will pay you $200. And that you if you accepted it and got what you wanted, then I would get paid afterwards. So that's how it works.
Perfect. And in relation to, though, bring it back to, say, advertising or marketing spend to get a specific conversion. So do you talk about doing a campaign and are you only focused on that one campaign? You're not really looking at the market strategy overall for the business. You're looking at that one campaign and you're saying, okay, we want to sell so many X widgets. And the campaign is to sell these widgets, and we want to and of course the company is going to put the ad spend, but they're not going to pay you for your time to set up that campaign until they've received a particular result of X number of widgets. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. The partner takes on the risk. So they take on a lot of the risk. So again, they have to do something that they believe in. Whereas I could be happy to say, look, pay me $500 a day and I'll go find you great people for your podcast. And I might not believe that I can do that. And you're going to pay me $500 either way.
Right.
If I'm only getting paid $50 every time someone fills out a qualified lead, I probably am not going to spend my time and go do that unless I believe I have a reasonable chance of being successful.
Got it. And so has that been your model since day one?
That has been our model. We've offered different digital services over the years, but we are really focused now on these large scale and increasingly global affiliate programs.
Got it. Okay. So then how because that model would be, to me, especially when you have a large team, that would be difficult to quantify and make sure that you not only have enough money to manage your expenses and the people on your team and the things that you have to focus on every day just to stay in business, but then also to have a profit on top of that. So how does that work?
Yeah, well, the partners are paid on performance. We are usually paid a combination of fixed plus performance. There is some stuff that we have to do that is sort of baseline requirements, and that's not fun. The operational sides of running a program. So it's a hybrid, and we say that the base really covers us. Getting out of bed. It doesn't get us excited, but it covers the stuff that has to be done, and then we like to align our incentives to performance.
So when you say partners, who are those people?
Partners would be like the publisher. So if it's Target and they have an affiliate program and they're working with a mom blogger or a product comparison site or a coupon site, those would be the partners.
Got it. Okay. Now it's making more sense. I understand. So a big brand will want to use several different partners, obviously, across many different channels.
Tens of thousands often in these programs.
Right. In order to be able to, make this campaign successful. So that's awesome. So, okay. So that you didn't start with Target or any of the large, huge brands, right? So how did you scale up to those?
Do a good job. In our world, we worked with a lot of fast growth e-commerce companies in the Bay Area. People don't stay at these companies for more than 2 years. So if we did great work for someone, they tended to call us when they got to their next job. We did not hire any salespeople until January, really last year, to focus on sales. We were very much kind of marketing and referral based and focused on doing good work.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I mean, I know when you and I spoke, this was several months ago when we first met, and I had been doing this messenger marketing for almost not quite a year, 10 months, 9 months, and I have still not had to hire any salespeople or had to go out and in any way cold sell or find people, because it's all referral. It's all from doing a good job for one person, and then they gladly talk me up to other people. And I, of course, also offer incentives and affiliates and all that kind of stuff, which helps the process. But you can do it. You don't. It isn't all just cold.
It's better than trying to keep filling a leaky bucket.
Yeah.
In terms of keep putting at the top. One of the quotes I've always loved, I can't remember, I think it was advertising, but you could say to extend sales and advertising is the tax you pay on a poor product.
That's a good one. I got to share that with my husband. He's a tax accountant, so he'd like that
Yeah.
one.
Like that one.
Wow. All right. So that's awesome. So, in terms of business, that's, I think, the thing that impressed me the most with your talk when I heard it. You definitely have your systems in place. You have your process dialed. And especially when it's performance based, that's something that's critical, I'm sure. So let's say there's somebody out in the audience that's in the, the not necessarily newborn stage, right? They're not a startup. They've got a couple of clients or customers. They're kind of rocking and rolling a little bit. They're finding themselves with, not a lot of time, but they have some clients and they have to fulfill those. And then maybe there's some more coming in the pipeline, but they really want to get to that performance based. What's the first thing they need to do to try and switch that model so that I can imagine it would become more, something a lot more positive for the client to approach it from a performance base. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it works in certain areas. It works in marketing, and I think the industries that we're in. I'm not sure it works everywhere, but I do think with the measurability that's going on and more data, I think that there's going to be a general trend towards people wanting to pay for outcomes and not inputs, and that's where we sort of are hanging our head on. We think we're moving towards an outcome world. And look, it's better for everyone to say, look, we both did well. Like I made a lot of money and you made a lot of money. I think a lot of services these days, it's never in equilibrium. So if you think about an affiliate program, it's always in equilibrium. So if a sale is worth 10% to you, the first dollar, and everyone does the same. I think what happens sometimes is that there is a new product or service. People try it out. It works unbelievably well because not everyone is using it. Product or service gets much more expensive, quadruples its prices. Now it doesn't work for anyone. So you're always, it's that someone is losing. And we like this model because usually everyone wins together.
And Power Parents, I got a kind of full disclosure here. I just started in this world with one particular client who came to me that has a Facebook business page that has 5 million likes. And their bot, when I took it over right after Affiliate Summit, actually, in the middle of January of 2018, their bot had 10,000 subscribers. And they basically said, hey, this thing has a huge potential. We'd love for you to manage the bot for us. And then we are going to, from that bot, sell products, and we'll give you a cut. And it was a great opportunity for me. It was amazing to handle a bot that's only 10,000 people with 5 million likes on the page. So there's huge potential to see what these people would like, how they want to communicate, how they want to engage with the brand, all of that. And so now, 4 months later, we're going to hit 500,000 subscribers here in probably a week.
Wow.
And so it's been so fun to experiment with that and see what people want. And we've just now, with 500,000 subscribers, or almost, we're at 486, I think.
And those are email subscribers?
Those are Messenger bot subscribers.
Messenger bot subscribers.
Yeah,
This
is an email.
Brand new world.
That whole new world. So with that, we've just now found a site that we're partnering with in an affiliate capacity where they're willing to pay us like $1 per subscriber to their site from ours. Yeah. So, 500,000 people, we've got 95% open rates in this bot in Messenger. So 95% of those people open the message when we send it. And typically anywhere from 30% to about 45% click to where we want them to go. So with those numbers...
Unsolicited?
What do you mean unsolicited?
The bot chats with them for the first time, like it wasn't connected to them before?
No, this is so just like an email, they've subscribed.
And
then we set them into a series of messages, onboarding, nurturing, those kinds of things. And then we're going to send them an offer. We're going to say, hey, there's this amazing thing that we want you to see. Then they click it and they go to this other site, this partner site. And if they subscribe on that side, then we get paid. So, and the first test we did, I think I sent this message to probably 20,000 people, I think it was, a small segment, and we got 400 people to subscribe on the other side.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's the first attempt at, I think this could be a partnership thing. This could definitely be a performance-based thing. And for me, see, I can't do the just dialing for dollars kind of stuff, right? I'm not going to try and send something that doesn't make sense or just trying to get money out of people. Messenger is very much a relationship building platform. Very different from email. We're not sending a big story and just asking them to click a link. This is relationship back and forth. You send them a message, they respond. You send them another message, they respond, or they don't, and they can opt out anytime and just not respond, and they won't get another message. So it's very relationship based. So I need to send people to something that makes sense to them, that is going to improve their life, not just, hey, watch this video about cats.
Yeah.
Right? That it's not going to, might be fun, but it's not going to improve their life at all. So it's very rewarding in addition to monetary rewards. So it feels really good. So just to let you know, I'm just now, Power Parents, getting into this world. Before this, everybody else, all my other clients, 50 plus, they pay me a retainer, an actual fixed fee, whether or not I perform. And obviously they're not going to pay very long if I don't perform. So, I mean, my company anyway. So that's the difference. So do you have any of those clients that just pay you a retainer, or is everything you do a combination of a fixed fee plus?
We have some that pay us a fixed fee. There's just some clients that are frankly too big or moving or dynamic or adding markets, and the risk of trying to come up with a performance number and having it be wildly off. So that is our preference, but there's some cases where we're happy to take good old fashioned money.
Right. It makes sense. Yeah.
But we do like to assign incentives, but we work with one of the fastest growing companies in the world, and literally by the time we put the ink on an incentive, it would probably be wrong, and they don't want to be in a place to write a check that's got a lot more zeros than they thought, and then
they need.
So it just, that one just won't work.
Right. Well, if it doesn't, and like you keep talking about, it's a win for both. So that's the best. That's what it's about, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So then you've gone from consulting and having one client or two clients to building this amazing business acceleration partners, and your kids growing at the same time. And now you're 11 years in, you're the CEO. Do you have a C-level team? You got COOs and all that good stuff?
Yeah, we have a full C-level team, and this is where a lot of the things mirror. There's a great book read a few years ago, The Hard Things About Hard Things, and he talked about how in your business you go from being the player to the coach to the manager to the general manager, and I thought it was a great analogy. And there's something similar that needs to happen from parents, right? To be sort of the co-player to the manager, to the coach, to the GM, to the mentor, and as much as entrepreneurs are terrible about getting out of the weeds, I think it's the same process for parents, where when your kids are in college and they're married and they have kids, you should be the mentor or the available coach, not the manager. And I people just can't make that shift and stop doing.
It's hard. It is stinking hard, Robert. Let me tell you, that is, I think, the hardest transition. That really hit home the saying, from the day your child is born, your job is to let go.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly it. And it is so hard to watch your kid take on the struggles of the world and watch them struggle and watch them, what's coming because you've been there, the pain, the struggles they're going to have, if they're going to have to move out and get all these responsibilities when they start on that path. It's hard to watch that and to watch them make mistakes and let them do it. It's really hard, but I'll tell you, anything worth doing is going to be hard. And if you just want to make it easy and you just want the easy way out, then keep being a helicopter, keep trying to do it for them, and then they will probably make you do it themselves. They'll tell you, back off, hopefully, if you've raised them well enough.
One of the things that we have in New England that's kind of unique that doesn't exist, I think, anywhere else in the world. I mean, it's some parts of the country, but is sleepaway camp. And I have friends that think we're absolutely crazy. So my kids are now at the age where they go for 7 weeks up to Maine all summer. and it's just something my wife did, and they love it. And I offered them a couple years ago when I want to take a sabbatical to go anywhere in the world, and they wouldn't miss camp. So we missed school instead and went to Australia in December. But it is phenomenal for the kids. There's no technology. They're outside. They're leadership, playing games. They're captains of their own teams. They have to hit a baseball and not look and see mom and dad there. And it's really like almost leadership curriculum that's been the same for 150 years. But as amazing it is for the kids, I think it's even better for the parents. There's some parents who like, the kid wants to go, but they're like, I don't think I can let him go. And I'm like, there's something so wrong with that.
Yeah, right.
like that your need to have that dependence, like that is not healthy. I can understand if you say your kid can't do a sleepover and they're crying hysterically, but I some parents I'd be like, wow, you need this more than they do. So that is something we have in our family where now each summer, my wife and I have time together and we do trips, and they have time together, and they've my son mailed us a letter he wrote where he ran for captain of the color war team and he won, and we couldn't edit it. And so we've had a little preview into how life operates, when they are directing themselves and we are directing ourselves. And I have friends in other parts of the country like, well, you don't like your kids, you send them away. It's just it's something that is very ingrained in New England culture, and I think it is particularly now. You're zero technology for 8 weeks. I think it's a model that actually it probably won't be that long other places where it's a great way to break the codependence that a lot of people have.
Amen. I agree. I think it would be amazing if I were able to do it here, if there was anything, because I'm in California. If that were available, if I knew about it ahead of time, definitely. Because even just the little things like fourth grade, they went away to science camp for 4 days or something. And I mean, the parents were freaking out just with fourth grade having their kid away for 4 days. And of course, you knew the parents who couldn't do that because they were the ones that became the chaperones and they went with them. Yeah. Mine's a little bit different. I have some disabilities with one of my sons, so I went definitely to help with that. But I saw the ones who just really had a tough time and either didn't send them because we had to pay for this. This wasn't something that the schools actually offered. So they just said, well, sorry, we're not going. And they could opt out to do that. But then the kid had to go to school and sit in a classroom with another grade. But most of the kids were peer pressured their parents into, no, Johnny's going, I want to go, and, basically made it happen. But I can imagine New England, just my thought is, that's the first thing from England, right? New England, right? And they have a school where they send the kids away to school. I mean, I'm thinking Hogwarts, right? I would have loved to have gone to Hogwarts. But, so I'm imagine that that's a kind of a take on that idea.
Yeah. I believe my job as a parent is to work myself out of a job, just like my job as a company leader. It's not to create lifetime employment for myself.
That's right.
And it's very similar to the business, right? I am a very self-reliant person. I think I'm very different than a lot of people in this way. And this is also probably a little bit the male versus dad versus mom perspective. But I get satisfaction when my kids are being independent. Like that actually, that's what I'm happy about. I don't get that by them being dependent. So
needy,
I enjoy, but some people thrive off that.
So it's not a male-female thing. My husband's the opposite. My husband is the, oh my gosh, what do you mean they're going to go move out? What? Where, why? Wait. And I'm just like, go. That's fantastic. Here's your wings, right? I've already done that. Right. Here's your wings. You've got them. I trust you. Do it. So yeah, I don't think it's male-female. I think it's individual.
And that's where it's really, back to that story from before. And this is where I think a company and a family are the same thing. For me, it's ingraining those values because I think those values will just drive good decision making, not making their decision and sending them off, into the world to be guided by that. And it's really what we do with the business. here are our core values. Here are the things we want to do. We do not want to make all the decisions for you. We hire good people. We trust them, understand the values, and make good decisions. So it's very analogous.
Yes, completely. I agree. The same with my staff. It really is entrepreneurial led, if you will. So I want to hire people who have those feelings and abilities, both the positive and the negative. I mean, we have a lot of fears as entrepreneurs as well, but we have the skills to move past them, and work with them and overcome them and all those other words. But yeah, my staff is the same way. I say, hey, here's what we got to do. Here's a contract we've got to go ahead and customize it. You've already done it before. Have fun. Here's
Right.
the details. You know what to do. Does it make sense? Yes. If it doesn't make sense, when you read it back to yourself, please read it back to yourself. Right? If it doesn't make sense, you got to change it. Yeah.
But you either have 4 to 5 core values that operate as the guideposts, or you have a massive rule book.
Right.
And I don't think anyone likes that in a family and otherwise. One of the coolest things for me actually has been, I'd say one of my proudest moments as a parent is when it's happened a few times, but there was one in particular where we have 5 core family values. And I was in one of my son's parent-teacher conference, and the woman used 4 out of the 5 words to teach her to describe him. And
Wow.
I was like, we're winning. Like
we did it. Yep.
we did
That's
it.
it.
That was pretty cool because they were things that she had already written down. And it takes a long time. Someone once said to me, it takes 10 years to know if your kids were listening to you. It's like a long developing film, and I agree with that.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And now that mine are, like I say, 16 and 19, very soon to be 17 and 20, I can see daily in their choices, in their decisions, in the people they choose to hang out with, and the things they choose to do, that it's worked, that it's fine. They're going to be fine. They're very wonderful, decent human beings that look at the world through compassion and all the values that we've talked about and raised them with. So then how do you do that? We know that, I think most of us intuitively understand what values mean with a family. It makes sense to us. Now, how do you translate that to a company? How do you translate that to a business? So tell me what your values are, if you can.
Yeah, our core values, we've gotten them to 3 because I believe you have to pull them out of your pocket or read them, then you don't know what they are. And we actually expect people to be them and operate them. So it's own it, embrace relationships, and excel and improve. And we have a whole part of our hiring process is based on that core values. Our review process includes the core values. Our promotion process includes the core values. And ultimately, the decision to part ways with an employee often is very tied to the core values.
Got it. So own it.
Own it, embrace relationships, and excel and improve.
Hallelujah. Yes. Embrace relationships and excel and improve. Yes. Obviously, I agree 100% with all of those, especially the embrace relationships, because to me, that's how business gets done. Without the relationships, you don't have a business to me. Wow. And so then you tie those to performance, you tie those to reviews, you tie those to projects that you might want to work on, all of that. So for an example, there's a project that I was asked to do that I actually took and then learned, even though my gut said no, learned later why I should have actually said no and that it didn't work, and I refunded the money and walked away. And that was because it was in the insurance industry, and I hate insurance, and that is not a relationship business for me. That is not something that is of value to me in that respect. I don't want to promote something I'm not comfortable with or don't like. So yeah, that wouldn't align with my values. So I shouldn't take that business on. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I saw. You know what? Hold on. Let me read you this because one of my team was at a conference yesterday, and let me see if I can find this. A great quote. It said something about. I'm not going to find it on here. But I'll give you a different version, which is like your values have to cost you something, right? They're not really values unless they cost you something or they have some pain or you're willing to give up an opportunity or money or otherwise for them. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, I mean, we tell all of our employees, and I tell them on our training under Embrace Relationships, if you have a client who is terrible and, is just toxic, we will walk away from them. Don't pull the fire alarm. If they had a bad day, you
Right,
get very,
right.
very limited use of the fire alarm. But
Right.
but that is important enough to us that we will not deal with someone who is toxic to our people and who just doesn't care about the relationship.
Yeah, and this particular client was both of those things. Not only
Yeah.
was it in an industry I didn't really want to work in, but the CEO was very toxic and was coming at me with all kinds of bad names and words and just not at all professional and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree 100%. And no business is worth it. We're not in this just for the money. Definitely not. We're in this to make, especially in Messenger. It's brand new, and it's something that is really helping change companies, and the business and the direction of companies. And so we're in it to build relationships and grow our clients' businesses, and then
Yeah.
impact their prospects and audience and customers.
Yeah, we want to. I mean, we want to enjoy what we're doing with people that we're doing. We don't want to just be in this transactional relationship. And
Yep.
strong relationships are literally shown to help you live longer than I think if you stop drinking, smoking, or eat healthy,
Yes.
but you just have good relationships. So we even like that. We say to people, "Hey, look, one of our values is going to help you live longer." So this is a good.
So
this is
come
a
work
good
for
thing.
us. Yeah. Definitely. Wow. Okay. So there you go, Power Parents. What are your values? I'm sure you have an idea of what your values are for your family, but what are your values for your company, for your business? And really think about that, and think about how that translate. Of course, again, transactions. Of course, we need to make money. The relationships and that particular value definitely promotes your bottom line and your top line. It promotes everything in your business. So, wow. All right. So then, just as a quick little question, where do you and your wife usually go during those 7 or 8 weeks of the summer?
This is our first full summer. We had my youngest went for a half week last year, so we're putting the final touches on a few trips. We're gonna, I think, head west for a week in the first half, and then head over to Europe for a week in the second half.
Fantastic. Well, if you come to California, Northern California specifically, I'm not in Southern California, I'm in Northern. Definitely let me know, and not that you want to spend any of your vacation time with your wife with me, but would love to have a cup of coffee.
That would be great.
Yeah. So, all right. So if there's somebody sitting on the fence out there and they're kind of rocking back and forth going, this this relationship and this performance thing sounds like a good idea, but, I'm not quite sure if I should take the plunge and maybe not change your total business strategy toward it, but at least try it out to see how it would be better for both you and your customers. What piece of advice would you give that person who's kind of mulling over going, yeah, it might be good, but I don't know. It's kind of sketchy. How am I going to do this?
It's a great book called Performance Partnerships that I wrote that might might help them talk about it. But no, if they're thinking about really doing that in the book, I did write a book called Performance Partnerships, which talks about sort of the industry and how it works in the future of more performance-oriented relationships. But more holistically, if you're thinking about incorporating performance in your business, I would say just try to, in your business or pricing model, try to find the win-win, because I think you'll be happier, your clients will be happier, and there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Perfect. All right, Power Parents, I'm going to have Robert back on. I know some of you know that I've done the Marketing Futurist, and that's going to become a podcast pretty soon. And it's really about the future of marketing and the future of business. And we're talking obviously a lot about AI and bots and all those kinds of things, because that's my world right now. But I really would love to have Robert back on to talk about that kind of thing, the future of all of this stuff. How does that sound?
It sounds good. I have an article coming out in a few weeks on how blockchain will really affect a lot of performance marketing. So that I tried to actually get very futuristic on that.
There you go. Yep. Okay, that's it. We're going to have to do it. And then I also receive your Friday Forward newsletter. Every Friday. I know it like clockwork, gets dumped into my inbox. And it's definitely one of the ones I don't delete. So that's good. So I know that you have that to offer to people as well. And is there anything more you want to say about that? Because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was something I started a few years ago as a note to my team. Just every Friday, try to find a story or something inspirational or things that I had collected, and they were sharing it with, I didn't think anyone was reading it. And then I started getting all these comments. Hey, I sent this to my brother or sister. Can you include them? And I decided to share it with a couple of CEOs and say to them, look, people are really responding well to this in my company. You should try it or forward mine. And in the last 2 years, it's grown to about 40,000 subscribers globally.
Wow.
And it ups the pressure each week for me to figure out a new topic to write. But it's nothing sold. It's just on a way to get better, build your capacity. In fact, tomorrow's is sending right now in Australia, since it's tomorrow at 7 a.m.
That's right.
right now. But yeah, you can sign up at fridayfwd.com, or if you just Google Friday Forward, it should come up. And it's just a quick, about 3-minute read each week.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. So, Power Parents, I hope you enjoyed this chat. Another thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago on the podcast was why you should attend, or how to decide if you should attend conferences. And right here, talking to Robert in this conversation we just had, is a very good example as to why conferences are really amazing things if they make sense for you and your business. It's an amazing thing to attend. So thank you so much for sharing this time. I really, really appreciate it. And we're going to have to keep in touch for that whole futuristic thing, right?
Thanks so much. I look forward to coming back.
To get powered up for your day, just go to parentepower.com and listen to the over 200 episodes we have so far with amazing entrepreneurs just like you. It might just help you feel like a grown-up again.